I think there's this literal obsession in the West that says, hey, we just want Russia to lose and we want Ukraine to win without really much thought about how we get there.
Yeah. Well, Russia's not going to lose. That's obvious now. We're 2+ years into this. Russia is not going to lose. The West right now, they're aiming for a best case scenario where they can perhaps freeze the conflict. That's what they're trying to figure out. How can we get this to some sort of freeze and then spin this as some sort of a victory? I think in the West right now, there is a common understanding, a realization that Russia is not going to lose this war. Even if a lot of Western leaders may not want to believe that, even if Blinken and Sullivan and Biden may not want to believe that, they deep down, I think everyone understands that Russia's not losing this thing. The correct answer to that type of question is that we need to end this conflict. We need a ceasefire. And the interesting part about that answer from Trump, if you take it further towards the NATO conference that's going to be taking place in DC, the beginning to ending this conflict, the beginning to open up negotiations, to start talking, is Ukraine does not get into NATO. No talk about delaying NATO for Ukraine. No talk about putting a pause on Ukraine's entrance into NATO. Russia is not going to accept any of that. For Russia to talk and for there to be some sort of a negotiation to take place and to get this war to an end, you have to start with the most basic issue, the most basic fundamental issue, which is NATO entry for Ukraine has to be taken off the table forever.
And Vladimir Putin was very, very clear on that right before the Swiss so-called peace summit a week or so ago, when he explained one of the primary things he said was a neutral Ukraine. So wherever the borders are going to turn out to be, whatever's left of Ukraine has to be neutral. And he's been saying that since December of 2021. And that's obviously not the first time. He's been saying it since 2008, if you want to go all the way back. But he's never said anything besides that. So there has been, and that's one of the things that's really puzzling to me, is that so many times I've heard, and if I had the clips, I'd pull them up now. We've shown them before, where American leaders say, well, this war could end if, number one, Russia would just leave, just walk home and go home. But they don't want to negotiate anyway. They aren't even willing to talk. And yet Putin has been trying to talk since before the war started and all the way through it up to last week.
Yeah. They've been saying it since Munich, 2007, 2008. This is Russia's red line. When a lot of analysts, they always talk about how so many red lines for Russia have been crossed and Russia has not done anything. That's not true. A lot of red lines have been attributed to Russia, but when it comes to factual statements that the Kremlin has made about its red lines, the first red line that they talked about going back many, many years, as you just said, is Ukraine does not enter NATO. That is the first and most basic red line that they have. And when that red line was crossed, that's when this conflict started. And it was crossed in Munich in January, February 2022, a couple of weeks before the special military operation, maybe 3-4 weeks before everything started, where Zelensky was in Munich with Olaf Scholz, with Ursula, with Kamala Harris. And what were they talking about? Ukraine entering NATO. What else were they talking about? Ukraine getting a nuclear weapon. That's what Zelensky was saying. He was running around the conference. Maybe we should be allowed to get nuclear weapons. Maybe we're going to enter NATO. There was not one person at Munich in 2022 to come out and say, stop, shut up, Zelensky. This is not going to happen. This is never going to happen. Give a press conference, Kamala Harris. Tell the world the United States is absolutely 100% opposed to Ukraine getting nuclear weapons, period, full stop. Nothing like that was done. They were drinking, they were eating, they were hanging out. And this was the rhetoric coming out of Munich in 2022, right before the conflict started.